Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantakoti vaishnavindiki jai. Manisha, are you already on Jamulus?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay, I'm going to try to get on. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ujjvala Varana. Ujjvala Varana Gauravara Deham Vilasita Niravadhi Bhava Videham Ujjvala Varana Vilasita Niravadi Bhava Videham Sri Bhuvana Pavana Krupaya Lesham Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya Gadantara Baba Vikaram Durjana Karjana Nada Vishalam Bhavabhaya Bhajana Karana Karana Tam Pranamani Cha Śrī Caitanya Arunam Bharadara Charu Kapolam Indu Vindindita Nakachaya Richiram Jalpita Nijaguna Nama Vinodam Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya Vigalita Nayana Kamla Jaladhara Bhushana Navarasa Baba Vikara Gatiyati Manthara Nritya Lilasam Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya No violin Chanchara Charu Charana Gati Ruchiram Ranjira Ranjita Paraduga Madura Chandra Vimindita Shitala Varanam Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya. Sing it, sing it. Vritakurti Dora Kamandalu Dandam Divya Kalevara Mundita Mundam Durdana Kalmasha Kandana Dandam Tanpranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya. Where's Vrinda? Bhushana Burajalakavalitam Kampita Vindhara Vararuchira Malaya Javira Chitta Ujvala Tilakam Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya. Ninditaruna Kamala Dalanayana Ajadulam Bitta Śrī Puja Jugalam Kalevara Kaishora Nadaka Vesham Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya. Ujvala Varana Kura Varadeham Vilasika Niravati Baba Videham. Hari Hari Bo. Bhuvana Pavana Krupaya Lesham Tam Pranamami Cha Śrī Caitanya. Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Sachinandana Jai Gaura Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Kali kukur kanan Jadi chao hai Kali Yuga Pavana Koli Boy Nashana Shri Sachinandana Kao Hai Adhar Madhan Nitaye Pranatan Advaita Prapujita Gaura Nimani Vishwambar Srinivashishwar Bhakta Samma Chitta Chora Nadiya Shashadar Mayapurishwar Nam Pravartana Shura Grihi Janna Shikshaka Nyasikula Nayaka Madhava Radha Baba Pura Sarvabhoma Shodana Gajapati Tarana Ramananda Poshana Veera Upananda Vardhana Sanatana Palana Haridas Modhana Rajas Pavana Jishtamata Shatana Kapati Vikatana Kama Shuddha Bhakta Palana Shuksha Jnana Karana Chalapakti Dushana Rama Kali Kukur Kadam. Is that the last verse? Did I finish it? No. Yeah. Kali Kukur Kadam. Jadi Chao. Hey, everybody. It's Kali Yuga. Yay! Because Kali Yuga Pavana Kali Boy Nashana Shisha Chinandana Gao Hey! Rihadaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan Śrī Caitanya Nityananda Śrī Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Jiva Gopal Patel Das Raghunath Ichai Gosar Hori Charana Mandan Jahwiti Vinanash Ishtakura Ichai Gosai Kori Ichai Gosai Jarmui Tardas Kansabara Pararim Ora Panchagra Kandira Jananda Shevi Bhakta Saribas Janame Hoye Ichai Gosai Jabi Braji Kulabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Koila Prakash Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Bolo Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Padi Lochuniyaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Padma Koriyash Hari Naam Sankirtan Kohe Daro Tamagar Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant everybody. God Prem Rande. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Śrī Caitanya-Manobhishtam Stapitam Nena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tiswa Dantikam. We're all together now. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Namami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Asari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nariya Nagare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire. Everybody. Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu Vishwambar Mayapur Shashi Navadvipa Sutta Shachi Sutta Gaura Radha Bhava Kanti Acharita Namananda Chapala Balaka Mathya Bhakta Brahmananda Varnatarki Kautu Kanu Rakta Niche Gaire Nariya Nagare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nityate Utupachar Varyera Mohan Pratika Sarvasya Kramya Balika Kridan Lakshmi Pati Bora Datta Udatta Balaka Shishachira Bhakti Putra Shokani Bharata Lakshmi Pati Purva Desha Sarva Kleshahara Diti Jai Karpahari Vishnu Priya Shwara Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Arya Dharma Pala Pitra Gaya Pinda Data Puri Shishya Madhvacharya Sampradaya Pada Krishna Namo Mata Krishna Tattva Abhyapata Nam Sankirtan Juga Dharma Pravartak Advaita Bandhava Srinivas Srihadana Nityananda Prana Kada Dhera Jivana Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Antardeep Shashadar Simanta Vijay Dodruma Bihari Madhya Dvipa Lila Shai Kola Dipa Pati Rutu Dipa Maheshwar Chanu Moda Druma Rudra Dupera Ishwar Navakanda Ranganata Jana Vijivana Jagai Madai Adi Durvitatarana Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nagara Kirtana Singha Kaji Udaran Shunana Pracharaka Bhaktatiharan Narayani Kripa Sindhu Divera Niyanta Adhama Paduya Dandi Bhakta Doshahan Shri Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Bharati Tarana Parivraj Shri Ramani Ukalapavan Hey! Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nariya Nagari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Kambulinga Bhuvanisha Kopatisha Pati Kirchor Gopal Darshaya Sukhi Yati Nandi Sannyasi Sarva Bhauma Kripa Moy Swananda Aswanandi Sarva Shukashoy Purata Sundara Vasudeva Chanakarta Ramamanta Sakabata Kula Kishahar Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Buddha Jain Mayavadi Karka Kandana Dakshina Bhavana Bhakti Grantha Udarar Halala Darshanandi Rathagramartaka Gajapati Tana Devananda Udara Kuliya Pakashe Dushta Paduryarchana Rupasana Tana Bandhu Sarva Jiva Narayana Kari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Narayana Kare Nitai Niche Niche Nabana Nanda Muti Bala Bhadra Sangi Yavana Udari Bhatta Bala Virarangi Kashi Bachi Sannyasi Udari Prema Data Markata Vairagi Nandi Achandala Cha Tera Gora Vakari Bhakta Pranadana Haridas Raghunath Swarupa Jivan Narayana Kare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Narayana Kare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Bhakti Vinotar Pode Ranga Paire Narayana Kare Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Narayana Kare Nitai Niche Niche Jaya Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go, Jaya Nitai, Jaya Go. Tai Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 Bo, Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Śrī Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Śrī Panchatattva Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. Sureshadam Durgam Gatir Atisha Yendo Panishadam Muninam Sarvaswam Pranata Patalinam Madhurima Niryasa Premno Nikila Pashu Palam Bhuja Drisham Sa Chaitanya Kim Me Punar Apidashor Yasyati Padam. Lord Chaitanya is the shelter of the demigods, the goal of the Upanishads, the be-all and end-all of the great sages, the beautiful shelter of his devotees, and the essence of the love of the lotus-eyed gopis. Will he again be the object of my vision? Srivasa.
Aparam kasyapija pranayijana vrindasya kutuki rasastomam hritva madhuramupabhoktum kamapiya rucham swam avavre dyutimihatadiyam prakatayan Sadevaschaitanya-Caritāmṛta kripayatu.
Lord Krishna desired to taste the limitless nectarian mellows of the love of one of his multitude of loving damsels, Sri Radha, and so he has assumed the form of Lord Chaitanya. He has tasted that love while hiding his own dark complexion with her effulgent yellow color. May that Lord Chaitanya confer upon us his grace. Text 51 and 52 are, respectively, Pratama Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta 2 and Dvitiya Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta 3 from the Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. Bhava Grahanera Hetu Kala Dharma Stapana Tara Mukhe Hetu Kari Shunya Sarvajana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. To accept ecstatic love is the main reason he appeared and established the religious system for this age. I shall now explain that reason. Everyone, please listen. Mula hetu age shlokera akaila abhasa ebe kahe sheshokera artha prakasha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Having first given hints about the verse describing the principal reason why the Lord appeared, now I shall manifest its full meaning. Priya Kishori.
Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Vladini Shaktir Asmat. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Vladini Shaktir Asmat. Shivamsa, can you help me?
Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktirasmai Ekatmana Vapi Bhuvi Puradeha Vedam Gatau Tau Chaitanyakyam Prakatamadhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhavadyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam.
The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. This text is from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. It appears as the fifth of the first 14 verses of Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Deha Dhari Anyonye Vilas Rasa Asvada Kari. Can we go just a tad higher? Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Deha Dhari Anyonye Vilase Rasa Asvadana Kari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. The two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the diary of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. One is enjoying in two. Sri Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. According to Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and another. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. Everything in the Absolute is inconceivable in relative existence. Therefore, in relative cognizance, it is very difficult to assimilate this truth of the oneness between the potent and the potency. The philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference propounded by Lord Chaitanya is the only source of understanding for such intricacies of transcendence. In fact, the Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavata devotee. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally approaches the fallen conditioned souls of the Iron Age to deliver the highest principle of transcendental relationships with the Lord. The activities of Lord Chaitanya are primarily in the role of the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. The absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the omnipotent form of transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss in full. His internal potency is exhibited first as Sat, or existence, or, in other words, as the portion that expands the existence function of the Lord. When the same potency displays full knowledge, it is called Chit, or Samvit, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. Finally, when the same potency plays as the pleasure-giving medium, it is known as Hladini, or the transcendental blissful potency. Thus the Lord manifests his internal potency in three transcendental divisions. Shedui ek ebe Chaitanya Gosai rasa asvatite dohe koila ekatani Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now to enjoy rasa, they have appeared in one body as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Iti lagi agi karitar vivarana chahitai hoi gore mahima katana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Therefore, I shall first delineate the position of Radha and Krishna. From that description, the glory of Lord Chaitanya will be known. Radhika hena Krishnera prayana vikara Swarup Shakti Hladini nama jahara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimati Radhika is the transformation of Krishna's love. She is his internal energy called Hladini. Hladini Karaya Krishna Ananda Svadan Hladini Radhara Kari Bhaktera Poshana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. That Hladini energy gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately discussed the Hladini potency in his Priti Sandarbha. He says that the Vedas clearly state only devotional service can lead one to the personality of Godhead. Only devotional service can help a devotee meet the Supreme Lord face to face. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is attracted by devotional service, and as such, the ultimate supremacy of Vedic knowledge rests in knowing the science of devotional service. What is the particular attraction that makes the Supreme Lord enthusiastic to accept devotional service? And what is the nature of such service? The Vedic scriptures inform us that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is self-sufficient, and that Maya, nations, can never influence him at all. Therefore, the potency that overcomes the Supreme must be purely spiritual. Such a potency cannot be anything of the material manifestation. The bliss enjoyed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be of material composition, like the impersonalist conception of the bliss of Brahman. Devotional service is reciprocation between two, and therefore it cannot be located simply within oneself. Therefore, the bliss of self-realization, Brahmananda, cannot be acquired with devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has three kinds of internal potency, namely the Hladini Shakti, or pleasure potency, the Sandini Shakti, or existential potency, and the Samvit Shakti, or cognitive potency. In the Vishnu Purana 1.12.69, the Lord is addressed as follows. O Lord, you are the support of everything. The three attributes, Hladini, Sandini, and Samvit, exist in you as one spiritual energy. But the material modes which cause happiness, misery, and mixtures of the two do not exist in you, for you have no material qualities. Hladini is the personal manifestation of the blissfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he enjoys pleasure. Because the pleasure potency is perpetually present in the Supreme Lord, the theory of the impersonalist that the Lord appears in the material mode of goodness cannot be accepted. The impersonalist conclusion is against the Vedic version that the Lord possesses a transcendental pleasure potency. When the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exhibited by His grace in the person of a devotee, that manifestation is called love of God. Love of God is an epithet for the pleasure potency of the Lord. Therefore, devotional service reciprocated between the Lord and his devotee is an exhibition of the transcendental pleasure potency of the Lord. The potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that always enriches him with transcendental bliss is not material, but the Shankarites have accepted it as such because they are ignorant of the identity of the Supreme Lord and his pleasure potency. Those ignorant persons cannot understand the distinction between impersonal spiritual bliss and the variegatedness of the spiritual pleasure potency. The Hladini potency gives the Lord all transcendental pleasure, and the Lord bestows such a potency upon his pure devotee. Satchidananda Purna Krishnara Swarup Chit Shakti Pardahitina Rup Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Lord Krishna's body is eternal, Sat, full of knowledge, Chit, and full of bliss, Ananda. He is one spiritual energy, manifests. His one spiritual energy manifests three forms. Anandam She Hladini, Sadam She Sandini, Chitam She Samvit, Jai Gana Karimani. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hladini is his aspect of bliss, Sandini of eternal existence, and Samvit of cognizance. which is also accepted as knowledge. In his thesis, Bhagavad Sandarbha 103, Srila Jiva Goswami explains the potencies of the Lord as follows. The transcendental potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which he maintains his existence, is called Sandhini. The transcendental potency by which he knows himself and causes others to know him is called Samvit. The transcendental potency by which he possesses transcendental bliss and causes his devotees to have bliss is called Hladini. The total exhibition of these potencies is called Vishuddha Sattva, and this platform of spiritual variegatedness is displayed even in the material world when the Lord appears here. The pastimes and manifestations of the Lord in the material world are therefore not at all material. They belong to the pure, transcendental state. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that anyone who understands the transcendental nature of the Lord's appearance, activities, and disappearance becomes eligible for freedom from material bondage upon quitting the present material tabernacle. He can enter the spiritual kingdom to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and reciprocate the Hladini potency in transactions between him and the Lord. In the mundane mode of goodness, there are tinges of passion and ignorance. Therefore, mundane goodness being mixed is called Mishra Sattva. But the transcendental variegatedness of Shuddha Sattva is completely free from all mundane qualities. Vishuddha Sattva is therefore the proper atmosphere in which to experience the personality of Godhead and his transcendental pastimes. Spiritual variegatedness is eternally independent of all material conditions and is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both being absolute. The Lord and his devotees simultaneously perceive the Hladini potency directly by the power of the Samvit potency. The material modes of nature control the conditioned souls, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never influenced by these modes, as all Vedic literatures directly and indirectly corroborate. Lord Krishna himself says in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 11:25-12, Sattvam Rajastamaiti Gunajivasya Naiva Me. The material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance are connected with the conditioned souls, but never with me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vishnu Purana confirms this as follows. Satvadayo nasantishte yatrana prakrita gunaha sasuda sarva shudebhya pumanadya prasidatu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is beyond the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. No material qualities exist in him. May that original person, Narayan, who is situated in a completely transcendental position, be pleased with us. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 10:27-4, Indra praises Krishna as follows. Vishuddha Sattvam Tavadhama Shantam Tapomayam Dvasta Rajastamaskam Maya Mayoyam Sampravaho Navidyate te grahana nupandaha. My dear Lord, your abode is Vishuddha Sattva, always undisturbed by the material qualities, and the activities there are in transcendental loving service unto your feet. The goodness, austerity, and penance of the devotees enhance such activities, which are always free from the contamination of passion and ignorance. Material qualities cannot touch you under any circumstances. When not manifested, the modes of material nature are said to be in goodness. When they are externally manifested and active in producing the varieties of material existence, they are said to be in passion. And when there is a lack of activity and variegatedness, they are said to be in ignorance. In other words, the pensive mood is goodness, activity is passion, and inactivity is ignorance. Above all these mundane qualitative manifestations is Vishuddha Sattva. When it is predominated by the Sandini potency, it is perceivable as the existence of all that be. When predominated by the Sanvid potency, it is perceived as knowledge and transcendence. And when predominated by the Hladini potency, it is perceived as the most confidential love of Godhead. Vishuddha Sattva, the simultaneous manifestation of these three in one, is the main feature of the kingdom of God. The absolute truth is therefore the substance of reality, eternally manifest in three energies. The manifestation of the internal energy of the Lord is the inconceivably variegated spiritual world. The manifestation of the marginal energy comprises the living entities, and the manifestation of the external energy is the material cosmos. Therefore, the absolute truth includes these four principles. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, His internal energy, His marginal energy, and His external energy. The form of the Lord and the expansions of His form as Swayamrupa and Vaibhav Prakash are directly the enjoyers of the internal energy, which is the eternal exhibitor of the spiritual world, the most confidential of the manifestations of energy. The external manifestation, the material energy, provides the covering bodies of the conditioned living entities, from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. This covering energy is manifested under the three modes of material nature and appreciated in various ways by living entities in both the higher and lower forms of life. Each of the three divisions of the internal potency, the Sandini, Samvit, and Hladini energies, influences one of the external potencies by which the conditioned souls are conducted. Such influence manifests the three qualitative modes of material nature, smoking gun, proving definitely that the living entities, the marginal potency, are eternal servitors of the Lord and are therefore controlled by either the internal or the external potency. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gallery. Full gallery. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Bolo, bolo. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jaya Prabhupada. Jurjana Kalma Shakandana Dandam. In the Ujjvala Varana song that we sang earlier today, verse 6, third line, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, Durjana Kalmasha Kandana Dandam. What is the chastisement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that it destroys the sins of Durjanas referred to here? There are many times Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave chastisement for various reasons. Of course, he's known to be very gentle and kind, but at certain circumstances, for instance, when Devananda Pandit had allowed his disciples to offend Srivas. Srivas was in the assembly where Devananda Pandit was reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. However, Devananda at that time, although a great scholar, was not connected to the parampara. Therefore, he didn't know the true meaning of the Bhagavatam or the value of the Vaishnavas. One who's Acharyam eva haraye pujam yasharaye hate natad bhakteshu janyeshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. If someone worships the Lord, but they don't know how to worship devotees or how to do good for others, such a person is a prakrita bhakta. Devananda Prabhu was reciting Bhagavatam. Srivas Pandit, who was a pure devotee, while hearing the Bhagavatam in that class, his heart melting, began to cry and show manifestations of pure love for God in his body. And the disciples of Devananda, not knowing what to make of this, offensively dragged him out of the class. Srivas was unaware externally of what was going on. Devananda allowed it to happen. And later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking near the home of Devananda, he exclaimed to his followers that a sinful person lives here. He has offended Srivas. And he chastised Devananda. Devananda, by that merciful chastisement of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, later became a disciple of Vikreshwar Pandit and also became a pure devotee. And we hear of the chastisement of Kala Krishna Das. After the Lord's tour to South India, the first time, he had taken Kala Krishna Das with him. Kala Krishna Das was serving the Lord's personal body every day, doing a menial service. And near the end of the tour, he became attracted by some Bhattaharis. They were women trained to attract men to their camp, and then they would be exploited there. And somehow or other, Krishnadas was attracted. He got pulled into their camp, and Mahaprabhu went there personally to save his servant. And later, after returning to Jagannath Puri, he met all the devotees one after another and gave them mercy. And then he finally called Kala Krishna Das. And he said before Sarvabhauma and other devotees that just see the character of this Kala Krishna Das. Although he was traveling with me in South India, in my personal service, he gave it up to join a band of gypsies. I have no more need for him or his service. And he got up and walked out. This was a heavy chastisement. And Kala Krishna Das began to cry. But then later, Lord Nityananda, Mukunda, two other devotees. They made a plan, and they went back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They said, we need someone to go back to Navadvip and give information to Mother Shachi and the others that you've returned from your tour of South India. Mahaprabhu said, send whomever you like. I approve your plan. And they conspired and they engaged Kala Krishna Das in Mahaprabhu's service. And he got to be the big hero who took prasadam to the devotees in Navadvip and also let each one of them know. He went personally to their homes and offered obeisances and told each one of them Mahaprabhu is back from his tour. Chota Haridas became the object of Mahaprabhu teaching a lesson to everyone in the renounced order to take it very seriously, so much so that he banned Chota Haridas from his association permanently. He never took him back, except after Junior Haridas had committed suicide, and then he came back in his transcendental body and would sing for Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu showed this chastisement to set an example that he would not accept hypocrisy in those who had accepted the renounced order of life. We find throughout the teachings Mahaprabhu is very gentle and kind, tolerant and so forth, but with his slight chastisement, Durjana Kalamasha Kandana Dandam, then he would purify the hearts of those he chastised. And this is an important lesson because although we're engaged in the process of devotional service, it's easy to think that I'm fine or that I'm the best or anything from the false ego can arise. Therefore, to accept chastisement and put oneself in a position where one readily gets chastised by devotees, superior devotees, then that helps to knock some sense into us so that we feel sober. Let me be serious and not mess around anymore and become intoxicated. As Kunti Devi said, Janma Ishvarya Shrita Shri Bir Eda Mana Madapuman Naivar Hat Yadivatum Vai Twam Kinchana Gocharam. Janma Ishvarya Shrita Shri Bir Eda Mana Madapuman Naivar Yavidatum Vai Twam Akinchana Gocharam. It's easy to get intoxicated by this feeling of I'm rich, I'm beautiful, I'm smart. And then one forgets to cry out sincerely to the Lord. So this dandam, this chastisement that one gets should be welcome. Kamalakanta Vishwas was a personal secretary of Advaita Acharya. And somehow or other, a letter that he had written to the king got in the possession of Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu somehow or other. And in it, Kamalakanta Vishwas stated that Advaita Acharya has this debt he needs to liquidate. And Mahaprabhu said, how could he have a debt? He's the Mahavishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Kamalakanta is a know-nothing. He can never come here again. Tell him he's banned from my association. And when Kamalakanta heard about it, he began to lament, oh, what has happened? What have I done? I'm banned. And then Advaita Acharya, hearing about it, said, you're so fortunate. Mahaprabhu has not chastised me like this. And then he lodged a complaint, did Advaita Acharya, to Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, said, you show more mercy to Kamalakanta by chastising him. Or you don't chastise him. Why don't you chastise me like that? In fact, he set up a scene at his house by speaking Mayavad philosophy, just so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come there in an angry mood and chastise him. And he did. When Nimai Pandit came there, and Advaita Acharya was speaking from the Yoga Vishishta, saying Gyan is higher than Bhakti, Mahaprabhu grabbed him from the Vyasasana. He said, say Bhakti is higher than Gyan. And Advaita Acharya kept saying, Gyan, Gyan, Gyan. And Mahaprabhu started beating him with his fist, mercilessly in the courtyard, dragging him on the ground Sita Thakurani came out. No, stop. He's an old man. You'll kill him. And meanwhile, Advaitacharya was smiling. And after Mahaprabhu realized what was going on, Advaitacharya said, now the world knows you are my master because you have chastised me. So the devotees are always looking for that dandam, for the chastisement from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take it as special mercy. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvagva purvir vididam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. The devotee thinks, oh, the Lord's so kind, he gave me some reminder of how insignificant, how helpless I am, so I can take deeper shelter of him. Otherwise, I would have just kept cruising here in the material world, thinking that I'm good, copping a lean, hanging out the window, one finger on the steering wheel, bank balance full, plenty of stuff in the refrigerator. I'm good. I'm lucky. Everybody else is just a sucker. Look at me, how cool I am. But Lord Chaitanya has a way of chastising and say, wake up, little jiva. Come to your senses. Be happy. Don't wallow in this horrible substance, which is like Raghunath Das Goswami said, is the urine of a donkey you're bathing in, this false ego. So the chastisement is something that we look for when we come into the assembly of devotees. When you ask for a spiritual master, you're looking for somebody that will correct you. Will say, no, do it like this. You did it wrong. And even if you think you are right, you should think, no, I was wrong, from the spiritual master. And be in that mood. Tadvidi pranipatina. Pranipat, I'm seeking your correction. Please correct me. Otherwise, there's no possibility of getting off the false ego platform. Nirmana moha jita sangha dosha adhyatma nitya vinirvritikama dvanvar vimukta sukadruka samjara gachantya muda paramavyayam tat. In order to reach tat, that, you have to become nirman, and you have to be able to take some kind of direction from somewhere, and you have to reason that, yes, this is my representative to, or representatives, those you put yourself under the shelter so that you can receive such dandam and become corrected. So that's the position to learn from. We have another question. Thank you, Śrī Antariksha. What a nice question. Shringara Ras Devi Dasi says, thank you for the class. Is there any relationship of the material modes of nature and the internal potency of the Lord? Would you kindly explain? Yes. As we just heard in the last purport, there's as we say, an inverse relationship. We're living in opposite world here. There's a way that the whole material world is a reflection, which is opposite that of the spiritual world. What's high is low, and what's low is high. And so it's a 180-degree reflection of the 180 degrees of the spiritual world, just as a tree reflected on a pond, but it's upside down. So the Samvit, Ladini, and Sandini potencies in the spiritual world are eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss. They are transposed in the material world as the three modes of material nature, which become the source of misery. Jiva Goswami writes about this, and he says that what's pleasure-giving in the spiritual world becomes the source of great misery for the souls in the material world. Mistakenly, I try to get pleasure from association, opposite sex. Pumsa striya maitini bhava metam. It looks like a good idea. Why? Because of the adi ras. The adi ras means that original rasa between Radha and Krishna is pervasive in the spiritual world. If it's not Radha Krishna, it's Lakshmi Narayan, or the queens of Dwarka and Krishna. And the material world, we have this false reflection, or it's a reflection which is temporary, and in which, instead of getting a kind of hladini, we actually get the opposite. Hlada tapatraya, Jiva Goswami calls it. That what was pleasure-giving in the spiritual world, you get thrashed here in the material world. So it's the big mistake. That's why, unless you read Bhagavad Gita and hear the voice of eternity and infinity, from my limited perspective, I think, no, this looks good. It should be okay. And we get such ridiculous philosophies as humanism, where there is no absolute philosophy. I just figure it out myself from my own perspective, in which case one remains trapped in the misery of the three modes of material nature. Sugiwa? Anonymous. Uh-oh, these are dangerous. In the current chapter of CC we are reading, it is said, verse 44-45, that the devotee takes highest satisfaction in their personal relationship with the Supreme Lord. We see a very different outlook in the delineation of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where devotees seem pointing to those who are higher and better. Is this a contradiction or different mood? Said in verse 44-45 that the devotee takes highest satisfaction in their personal relationship with the Supreme Lord, where devotees seem to be pointing to those who are higher and better. The two ideas are not mutually exclusive. In other words, you can be completely satisfied in your own position spiritually, but at the same time be pointing to others as better. In fact, this is the nature of pure devotional service. And that is that although one is very advanced and advancing, one thinks oneself unqualified and thinks others more qualified. And if you go all the way to the gopis, you'll see that they point to others. In fact, as we know, the Vaikuntaj Janito Vara Marupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad Vrindaranya Mudarapani Ramanat Tatrapi Govardhanaha Radha Kundamihar. There's a hierarchy in the spiritual world culminating in the love of Radha for Krishna. But if you go to Radharani, she sees Mother Yashoda. She worships at the doorstep of Mother Yashoda. Oh, what service she's giving to Krishna. She bows her head there, and to all the other devotees. In fact, the gopis listen to the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, appreciating their standard of devotion. So from this dainya, or utter humility, that is synonymous with prema, or it's parallel, it comes at the same time prema comes, there's dainya, or utter humility. There's a sense that all others are more advanced than I am, and an appreciation. But it doesn't mean that one isn't completely satisfied with one's own position. So you can be in your position, but at the same time have this profound appreciation for others, and also consider they're more advanced than me. Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous, or Ms., I hope that was sufficient. Sugiwa? Any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, look, it's Mayapur Bihari Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Very nice. One of the earlier question on chastisement. Thank you for the wonderful answer. And I really liked, the way you explained how Advaita Acharya, did things just to get the chastisement from the Lord. Maharaj, personally, for me, somehow that subtle importance, subtle desire to be considered very important, and although devotees and the Lord Himself in form of Advaita Acharya is teaching us to become a servant, that subtle desire is still very much there. Sometimes I don't even realize it, sometimes I realize it. Can you, I love this topic so much. Can you please elaborate what better, I should be doing so that genuinely from the core of that heart, that desire to be, that I'm important, I'm better reduces, and then that real mood of being servant of the servant rises in the heart.
Yeah, this is a very important point, and one that's looked at very carefully by those who are advancing in devotional service. As I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Raghunath Das Goswami, in his Manak Shiksha, looks very carefully at his own heart and mind to notice what subtle desires are there. Why am I doing devotional service? And he'll chastise his mind and himself for accepting what's produced by the mind. And so one point is to hear the teachings of those who are very advanced and understand what their motives are. And we emulate them. And also to become aware of our own motives. It's very important, the science of motive and intention. In fact, it's everything. If you notice in the secular world, in assessing, for instance, in a court of law who is guilty for a particular crime, we go by intention. It has nothing to do with the circumstance. It has everything to do with what did you intend to do. If I sat in a car and the brakes went out and the car went down the hill with me in it and hit somebody, it wasn't my fault. It was a faulty brake line from the company. They needed to recall it. They didn't. I'm not charged with anything. Nothing. I didn't intend to do it. But if I'm at a rally and I get angry because somebody's carrying a sign and I step on the gas so I can hit the person and I kill them, that intention is taken into account and say, okay, you murdered the person. It's totally different. So as we're advancing in devotional service, we want to look carefully what our intention is. There are activities I do motivated out of fear. There's activities I do motivated out of prospect. What do I get in return? There's motivation by duty. I should do the right thing. But the highest is out of love. And if we're carefully looking and seeing what am I motivated by, and noticing also that what is the fruit that comes out of these different kinds of motivations, then we can take the advice of Queen Kunti and be akinchana. Because ultimately, in the material world, everybody's self-centered. And it doesn't do anybody any good because we're part of the whole. We're not the whole. And only when we become centered towards serving the whole do we become satisfied. And that's something to realize. Prahlad Maharaj says, Naivatmana prabhuriyam nijan labhapurno manam janada vijasha karuno vranite. That he's saying, if you serve Krishna, then Śrī heard that and thought there was something in it for her. Anyway, nothing for you, Śrī. If you serve the whole, then you become naturally satisfied. I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to the Ganga and you wade into the Ganga and then you take a palm full of water and you offer it to the Ganga. The Ganga doesn't lose anything when you take a palmful out. And then you offer it. Ganga Devi doesn't gain anything from your offer. And then you put the water back in and she doesn't become more full then either. But you do. And the same way, everything we offer to Krishna, it's not for his benefit. He doesn't get anything, but we do. So if you understand the science that selfless service and being ego-effacing and giving oneself fully in surrender to Krishna is actually reality. And it's the source of happiness. It's the source of our edification. Then we can orient our lives in that way. But the Bhagavatam says, okay, let's just say you're not there yet. Then akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yejeta purusham param. At least go for it anyway. Because there's a way that Krishna is so expert when he sees that, okay, there's mixed devotional service. He says, okay, if it's mixed, what's it mixed? The mixture is there's some pure devotional service mixed with something else. So he'll take that one speck of pure intention that's in there, even if it's microscopic. You need an electron microscope to find it. He'll find it. He knows where it is. And he'll augment that, just as he did with Putana, which Uddhava mentions. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigamsaya payat apyasadvi lebegatin tatruchitam tatonyam kamvadayalum sharanam rajema. Who would surrender to anybody else but Krishna, knowing that he saved Putana when she came to kill him because he said, well, she came as my mother, dressed as a mother. So he offered breast. I drank her breast milk, even though there was poison on it. He forgot that part about it. He's so kind. So we shouldn't hesitate to go forward. And even if we can't put our best foot forward, we go forward anyway, praying to Krishna, please purify me and take away my faults as I serve you. And by hearing also, this is very important, when we hear narrations about pure devotees and about the material world and how it works throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Śrī Caitanya-Caritāmṛta, which is very accessible to us because it brings all the teachings of the Bhagavatam to a very practical level for us. We see how devotees interact with one another and with the Lord. And we simply hear that. By hearing these narrations, gradually, our lives become oriented towards pure devotional service. What to speak of the fact, Shrinvatam Swaha Kata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hrityan Taksto Hibadrani Vidhunoti Suritsatam. Krishna is there helping us from within the heart. He's fully attentive to what we're trying to do. So these are points to try to refine ourselves by putting ourselves in good association, always hearing. And when we notice, if we can notice carefully what our intentions are as we're moving forward, we can pray to Krishna, please purify my intention. And now we're going to have the Guru Puja and announcements. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Namashrishtam manavapi shachi putra matra sarupam. Shirupam tas... Huh?
Your camera.
Trying to spare you. Namashrishtam manamapi shachi putra matra sarupam. Shirupam tasyagrajam urupari maturim goshtavatim. Radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasham. Prapto yasya pratita kripaya shri gurum tam tosmi. He guru jnanadadina bandho swarandadata karudaika sindo. Vrindavana sinahitavata. Prasida Radha Pranaya Pracharo. Hey Dinabando Koranai Kasindo Guru Prasadam Mayamanda Budhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Gadhe Tatpada Padme Stumatishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother Sanatana Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling at Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet. Krishna. Hare Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which you can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord Master of the devotees. O Master of mercy unto us, give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Gati Sadma Bando Mui Sabadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai Bhavato Priya Jai Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoy Te Vakya Chitete Koriya Oikea Arna Kori Ho Mane Asha Charane Rotiye Sheu Tamagati Je Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Je Jame Jame Prabhu She Divya Gandhre Prokashita Gai Jahara Charita Vede Gai Jahara Charita Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Kodoya Deho Moe Pada Chaya Ha ha Prabhu Kodoya Deho Moe Pada Chaya Ebe Jash Pushuk Tribhuvana Jash Kushik Tribhuvana Ha ha Prabhu Kora Doya De Amore Pada Chaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishatharine Gaura Premanande Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Bolo Bolo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sing it! All over the world. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody, so the neighbors can hear it. Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Nam Bhajan Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Bolo Bolo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Bhajare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. And keep that transcendental vibration going. Don't stop all day long. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jayom Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Pribhajikacharya, Stotra, Shishiman, Abhay Charana, Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Sai Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayom Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Pribhajikacharya, Stotra, Shishiman, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda, Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Shri Jagrath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Jamuni Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Kartik Vrat Ki Jai, Shri Damodar Ashtakam Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande. And now we have some very important announcements, and the reason is that we've been given some sacred service. This is you take a little portfolio with you in your life, and you add to it. At the time of death, Although we've said before, you leave with nothing. Actually, you leave with a little envelope. And in it, there's a record of your service. And that's where you get positioned in your next life. So we're trying to fatten up our resume here and get ready to go join Lord Chaitanya. So while we're here, let's really blow this up in a big way. Let's really think big. What do you think? And just go for it. Given millions of lifetimes, walking around as a little pig, lifetimes galloping around as a horse, flying around as a bird, going through the earth as a worm, many different human forms, acting like a CEO or a bum. It's all a big waste of time. But now we've got some sacred service. And let's take it bigger. Think bigger than Apple. Think bigger than Rockefeller. Use everything we can to make this the biggest historical, generational operation that's ever occurred on earth for any kind of spreading of a spiritual movement, to expand the Transcendental Sankirtan movement through transcendental book distribution and developing a Bhakti community. If you agree with this in part or in whole, I want to see a thumbs up on the screen. 1, 2, only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ujjwala Ras is cooking. She can't do it. Jamulus is not a human, so Jamulus can't do it. Shamalangi, where's your thumbs up? Okay. So let's go for it. We'll get some instruction from Malini and also from Jai Madhava Prabhu to guide us. By the way, I'm hearing footsteps over here. There's people that are after us here at ISV trying to catch up. And let's not let that happen, okay? It's good to, at least for the next 10 years, we should stay in the top spot. Then maybe we'll make a little space. Okay. Go ahead, Malini.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. Prabhu, we have multiple reports, Prabhu, and one report that we have is following Hansapriya's footsteps. Devotees have tried other Indian stores, and Sirisha Mataji was able to place 7 cases of Bhagavad Gita in New India Bazaar, sorry, not in Namaste Plaza in Milpitas and Sunnyvale. And same, Prana Gopika Mataji also did the same. She actually placed 3 cases each of Bhagavad Gita in Vijeta in Dublin, and also Fusion, India Cash and Carry as well. And we are seeing other devotees also trying the same thing, and it's working well. And I know corporate team is doing something huge. They are placing books in 7-Eleven stores, and they're trying to see if they're trying to get an owner of the store. Maybe Shraddha Mataji, you can give some more information on that, if you please.
Yeah, so Vaishnav Toshni Prabhu was able to put some Bhagavad Gita boxes in Patel Brothers, and also Sukharupa Mataji was kept some boxes in Trinetra, and a restaurant near her home, and then she also reached out to 7-Eleven, and 7-Eleven was an instant hit, because when she put the boxes there, they came back and said that in 2 days the box were gone. So we are replenishing there as well. And Barsha Mataji is actually really thinking big, and I really need, and humbly requesting blessings from all of you. She found a person who owns about 300 gas stations all over USA. So we are trying to talk to him to see if he can, allow us to keep the boxes there and also pay some Lakshmi, because 300 boxes means, $30,000. So it's a huge amount of Lakshmi there. So just praying to all of you. And then, of course, the rest of the teams have been reaching out as usual to their friends and colleagues. And Venu Gita Mataji was able to talk in her organization and get 30 cases of Bhagavad Gita sponsored like that. So that's what we have as the news. Thank you.
Sure. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was not able to unmute myself, Prabhu. And today is also Halloween. So the Kids and Kirtan team, they are actually giving out Bhagavad Gitas as a return candy instead of the regular sugar candies that they give. So Kameshwari has planned that in 6 locations, they have packed books, Bhagavad Gitas in a bag like we did for the Indian stores, and they are going to pass out these books. Kids are going to pass out these books along with the candy. Kameshwari, you want to say something more about that?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me? Okay. So we had a meeting with kids and parents last weekend, and it was kids and idea, Aname and Advait Srinivas, and they mentioned that whoever comes to our home, we can give a Bhagavad Gita to them. And that's what their idea. So we thought of packing it along with the candy. But then we also thought that if we put candy and Bhagavad Gita together in a bag, kids may think that it's something for them. So we are putting it separately. So when I'll just show the setup I did here, little bit, small setup. So kids will take the candy and the parents will get a Bhagavad Gita. We request them to take this. I'll try to show this here in front of our home. I don't know if you're able to see. So we do this, and then there are Bhagavad Gitas that are packed for the parents to give, and kids pick up the candy for them. So that's what we are planning to do today, and it's going to be in front of the home when they come in the evening. Sorry, my camera, I'm not able to project, I think. So this is the idea for today, Prabhuji. So we are trying this. And all the kids, there are 45 cases that have been placed all over different locations. Devotees have it in their homes, and they're going to try this in the evening. So we don't know how much people are going out, but we are praying that whoever comes, it's our chance to give them, and it's their chance to receive a Bhagavad Gita. So we are praying to Lord Chaitanya. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Malin.
Thank you so much, Kameshwari. Thank you for this.
Well,
And yeah, go ahead, Hansapriya.
I just wanted to point it out to all the devotees who are approaching 7-Eleven or any of the restaurants or grocery store. I personally experienced something, and I thought that we could probably gain from it. That is that, store owner may have a good heart to commit to the books. Like for India Cash and Carry, they said they would like to be part of this, and they want to help committing 2,000. I noticed that the cashiers may be into it. So it's a good thing that she is into it and she's overseeing it, but she's only overseeing 1 or 2 stores. She doesn't go to other stores on regular basis. So it is our responsibility, even the owner commits it, it's our responsibility to look into it. So what I noticed was with Desi India Taste yesterday, when we got the 300 book pledges from them, I wanted to make it easier for them and give them a printout of saying that the complimentary gift of Bhagavad Gita, please take 1, print it out and put it on the cashiers, because cashiers are different religion, different mood. So I just thought that we shouldn't have them stop. So, and also it always helped me in the past also was to have one person, like one of their employee, our friend, who can help us to motivate. Like Sam Ramon in India, cash and carry. Every Christmas I give him, $50 gift card. But then he helps me. Yesterday he himself did like 3 books. By the time even he unloaded from my car, and by the time we took it inside the store, he did like 3 books himself. Hey, take it for your brother, take it for you too, So I just thought that probably relationship with the employee and then making it a card, and then making it easier on the cashiers. So that's something that I thought if we did it in everywhere else. So even though if owner may be motivated, but employees are not, then we shouldn't be at loss.
Thank you, Hansapriya. Thank you so much for all those wonderful tips. And Hansapriya also did 300 more yesterday from Desi India Bazaar. Thank you, Hansapriya. Prabhu, there is also, if we have 2 minutes, we also have wanted to hear from the field, Prabhu. Some devotees are going out on the field. They are wearing masks. They are taking all precautions. And Kautukarna Prabhu is heading that. And they also are going on the weekdays as well. So Krishna Prabhu and Kautukarna Prabhu. And last week I was able to go to Santa Cruz as well. And I saw that generally we have to stop people to ask them to come to the table. But now when they see the books, they themselves stop saying, I want meditation books. And it was very nice, Prabhu. And there was one person actually came and he brought his son. And then he said, can you please teach him meditation? He was probably 10 or 12 years old, and then asked, can you teach him meditation? And then I just explained a little bit, and he was very appreciative because I think everybody now appreciates these books. So Kautukana Prabhu, do you want to say something quickly? No, Prabhu's there. Maybe they already headed out for book distribution, I think. Prabhu, oh, go ahead, Prabhu, please.
Yes, Mataji. So we are planning 4 teams today, 2 in Santa Cruz, 2 in SF. Yes, by mercy of Guru Maharaj and Malini Mataji that we are able to plan. Haldarupa Prabhu is leading the team in SF. He is going to Ferry Building Farmer Market. He is going alone there if there is no other devotee. Vamshi Mohan Prabhu and Krishna Prabhu, they are going in Lands End. SF. So myself, Anand Kishore Prabhu and Akshay Prabhu, we are going to Santa Cruz, Madhu. Please pray for us. We need blessings of all the devotees. And we are very thankful for the 3 Murti sets, Mataji. So devotees are packing for us. Prema Kishori Mataji, Anand Vrindavan Mataji. So many devotees are packing the sets. So it saves us a lot of time. We don't have to do that packing. So thank you so much for that also.
Thank you so much, Kautukana Prabhu. That's all, Puji, for now. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Wash your hands. Be careful. There's still a pandemic going on there in the world. So one of the main points, wash your hands. Be careful about touching your face. And stay distant when you can as much as possible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisance, all Guru Shri Prabhupada. Just wanted to give a quick recap of Bhakti community. Before I start, I had a request. Is it like we are having this nice packets of books? I was wondering if it's possible to maybe put Bhakti community cards or bookmarks in that, if it is not a lot of trouble, because they are going out so many of them. They can at least get to know about Bhakti community and maybe inspire to join. Thank you. Sure. Yeah, I'll Malimata, I'll work with you to see. I don't know whom to contact, maybe to connect with them to see whom to give cards to. It'll be good to know about it. So I'll Malimata, do you suggest whom should I? whom should I reach out to? Maybe I'll connect with her later.
Yes, Prabhu. We can connect offline, Prabhu.
Sure, thanks. I'll quickly share my screen and give a quick recap of Bhakti community for those who are new. So as you know, Bhakti community is an online community where simplified Krishna consciousness is shared with newcomers, both the ISKCON newcomers as well as those who are new to Bhakti Yoga. We have a series of programs right from Monday to Sunday with different aspect of wisdom and practices of Bhakti community. If you come in contact with any newcomer, either giving books or maybe just in a conversation, please go to bhakticommunity.com/invite-newcomers. So there you will see a sample email, which I'll show you quickly. So you can see a sample email here, and you can give it to them, introducing Bhakti community, and hopefully they can join. We do currently have, for limited time, we are allowing newcomers to discover Bhakti community for, I think, 2 to 3 months, depending on what they come up with. So this is the email. We also have the WhatsApp message below. So if you want to send a quick WhatsApp, you can use this message as well. So this way you can send the information to them. I do want to thank Kautuk Karna Prabhu as well as Akshay Prabhu. Last week we had 5 emails going out introducing Bhakti community. As you can see, they just take this, send it to dear Steve, then they provide some context in which they met, and then they just copy paste the entire text. So it was great that we had 5 introduction last week. In addition, we do have Bhakti community cards, as I mentioned. These are the cards. If anyone is interested, let me know. I'm also thinking of printing a bookmark so that we can share with books as well. So we can give it out to them. Also, please do ask your friends and families to subscribe to Facebook page as well, facebook.com/Bhakti community, where short videos which the youth volunteers of Bhakti community, they create every week and they post it. And please do like and share with your family and friends so that this spreads far and wide. And lastly, we do have several volunteer opportunities. We are talking to several centers across North America, Europe, and Australia. So we do need partner servants who to bring those centers on board, create wisdom videos as well as marketing, etc. So in case if you are inspired to take up any of these opportunities, please do let me know. Thank you. So I just want to give that quick overview. Anything else you would like to add as well? So Sirisha Mataji says she wants some cards. So yeah, definitely Mataji, I'll send it to you. Please, I'll contact you offline to send the cards to you. Thank you, Mataji.
Book distribution is a holistic process, and keeping people in a pipeline where they can come and get Krishna consciousness is vital for our reaching newer and newer levels of expansion. So every time you can find a way to integrate this into the conversation and make it visible and invite people to come, and every new person that comes as a opportunity for exponential growth, because the reason that spiritual movements grow is by word of mouth. This is proven in historical studies. It's when people come and they have an experience that is so edifying for themselves that they bring other people. And we're constantly looking. I noticed the team that's working on Bhakti community is continually looking for ways to make the environment conducive for people to come in. And so it's always going to be improving. And the more people that we can bring in and who have an experience and bring other people, the more it'll grow. And it'll become a major part of our organization. As we're thinking, of course, right now on lockdown, it's been a little difficult. We're looking at some properties for expansion and models and strategic plans for expanding the community space and the utility of property and so forth. But right now, what we want to do is develop the digital infrastructure, and one of the best ways is to populate it with as many people as possible. So please put your heart and soul into bringing new people, even as you're distributing more and more books. Just integrate it into the process with great enthusiasm, please, because it will develop our organization in ways we've never seen before. Thank you very much, Jai Madhava Prabhu, for your hard work, and Pavani Bhakti, and all the young people who are working on this project as well. They're giving their attention, heart, and soul. Hare Krishna. Sharirat Vijjaja Jodendriya Tahika Jive Pele Vishaya Shagare Dharma Jeji. Loba moisu durmati Take jeta katita samsare Krishna bodu doya moy Gori bare chihajai Shra prasad annadi lobai Shayanam vintapau Radha Krishna Gunadam Preme Tako Śrī Caitanya-Nitai Preme Tako Śrī Caitanya-Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Sopa Punya Vatam Rajan Vishvasunajayate Prasade Sarva Dukkanam Hanirasyo Prajayate Prasana Chetaso Yashu Parya Vachishtate Tvayopa Putta Sraganda Vasalankara Charchitaha Uchishta Bojino Dasas Tavamayam Jai Mahi Bhagavad Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gaur Premanande Vanchakalpadrubhishta Kripasinabhevacha Patitaram Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Can everyone unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare